Today we're on the south coast of Cornwall and I'm going to be going out on the Kaboat behind me here. It's an interesting little craft. In some ways it's a sib, and then in other ways it's more of a kayak. The beam of it is more like a canoe or a kayak. You can sit quite comfortably inside it, and you can stand inside it, but what's nice is it's really light and manoeuvrable. It's no hassle at all. I can actually pick this up and carry it down quite easily by myself, and we're going to take it out. It's quite a windy day today, so we're here in the shelter of the estuary at the moment, and then we're going to sort of trickle around the coast with some lures and yeah, just have a bit of fun. It's got a 6 horsepower on the back, so with 2 of us that should push us along quite nicely. Not going to be doing any breakneck speeds, but yeah, perfect for trolling and getting to those little inshore marks, those little rocky sort of gullies and stuff, and yeah, having a good explore. It's just nice to be back on the water in Cornwall. The boat is super easy to manhandle just because of how light it is. I think it's only around 35 kilos, so yeah, coming from a 60 odd kilo sib with a 40 kilo outboard, you know, that's like a 100 kilo package with probably 20 kilos of gear. This thing, I don't even know how much it weighs, nothing really. You can pick it up one hand and I can almost carry this on my shoulder, and we've packed fairly light today. We've got 2 rods and just a little bit of tackle and a hell of a lot of fuel. I mean, we're going to probably use just a litre or 2, but it's nice just to have that in the reserves, isn't it? And as this is quite a narrow boat, you can paddle it really easily, and I can see that there's some shallow weeds in here, so we'll just pop the paddle off there and give ourselves a little push out. It's really easy like this. I never did paddle the sib much when I had it, because I was always usually launching at deeper spots, or I just wade out with it. But this guy is so easy just to do this. It just saves you knocking the engine, doesn't it? Nice and easy. We've got a southwesterly wind today, and it is going to be quite strong at times. I think it does get up to around 18 miles an hour today. The tide's going out right now, so we'll fish the last of the ebb and then almost the whole of the flood, which is quite a nice tide, I think, to fish when you're exploring little gullies. You can sort of scope them out at low tide and sort of get an idea of where you might want to come back to when they're covered by a bit of water. So that's the paddle done. I think this will take up to a 10 horsepower, so 6 is reasonable. Then I think an 8 would probably be the sweet spot. I'm sure 4 horsepower or even one of those little 3.3 horsepowers would push you along just fine. But yeah, this is very comfortable for the 2 of us. We're going to be mainly fishing with soft plastics today, like this Fiiish crazy paddle tail. This is in the smaller size. There's a little lump of rock just at the sort of opening here, and we're going to fish this lump of rock because the idea is that as the water empties from that estuary sort of bay area there, any fish that are up there, they're probably going to have to go past this rock, and they might hold on it, they might use it as cover to feed on anything that's getting pushed out by the tide. So I'm just sort of assessing what the drift is going to be, because this boat has such a shallow draft that really is probably 2 inches the draft, if that. It also is really affected by the wind. It gets blown across the water really quickly because there's nothing sort of keeping it planted, and with these big tubes it just catches it really quickly, so you will drift much quicker on something like this than a sib even. But yeah, it's quite important to sort of assess your drift, and I can see the wind's coming straight at me right on the bow at the moment, so I'm just nudging up close to the cardinal buoy in front of us here, and I think that's going to do us just there. So we'll have a few casts with some soft plastics on the light rod. First fish of the day on the light rod. It's a beauty, guys. I'm just going to try and grab this one in the gills. There we go. Ha 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 ha! Look at that for a bass. It's a beautiful fish. Absolutely engulfed the crazy paddle tail there. And yeah, beautiful colours. It's like a real golden bass. Just gonna put him in the water here. Yeah, get him back. Seems pretty feisty. Really nice conditioned fish there. And, nice to let these guys go sometimes. It's like a solid 4 or 5 pound fish. Off it goes. Happy days. I'm just giving the lure a cast out. It's got a 15 gram head, so I can let it sink for a little bit, just to let it get down a bit. And I'm just sort of a moderate retrieve on the speed. I'm just giving it a little pause every now and then, just to get down a bit. You could just do a steady retrieve, but I like to just pause my retrieve every now and then. Sometimes you do a bit better like that. Yeah, that's a decent fish right there. Just smashed it right down low into the kelp. I'm going to take a kneel here. Got a lovely bend. It might be a wrasse. Or, yeah, that looks wrassy to me. Or a pollock maybe. Yeah, that's a wrasse. That's a good one as well. Wow. On this light rod. He didn't really run much, but he did dive into the kelp there. Just going to slowly edge him in. Beautiful ballan wrasse here, guys. Beautiful. Let's see if I can just grab him. Because just like bass, ballan wrasse have spines and they can do quite a bit of damage really to a boat like this. That's beautiful, guys. Look at that. Pristine kelp donkey. Those greens and the reds and orange. They really are one of the most beautiful fish in our waters, these ballan wrasse. So much fun catching them, especially in shallow water like this. Now, if I put my finger in there, I could end up having a bad time, but you can sometimes just do that. You can sometimes just pop the hook out. If you just poke your finger in, pop it out like that. There he goes. Happy days. Alright, so I just got the engine in tick over, essentially, going ahead here. And it's a really nice speed for trolling the crazy paddle tail. It's probably a little bit too slow for a sort of designed trolling lure, one of the hard plastics for the bib. Probably a little bit slow for that, but for these paddle tails it's perfect. Even on this light rod here I can do it, and I can feel that lure working. You can see your line angle, and I can see mine. It's not skipping along the top, which is nice. We're probably working a foot or two under the surface, and we're just making our way, covering a bit of ground along this bit of coast here, just to see what we can pick up. I mean, ideally bass, maybe mackerel, but if anything, it's just a way of going from one mark to another whilst doing some fishing at the same time. Because in this thing, I'm not going to be going, I mean, you can get up to 10 knots with 2 people on board, and I don't really want to be whizzing around everywhere. I just like to take my time, get to places and do a bit of fishing on the one way, and, you know, enjoy the scenery. It's quite nice. It's a bit of a more relaxed way of fishing. You're just sort of slowing everything down and you know, essentially going a bit lighter with everything, like the rod that I'm using here. I can use a nice light rod on this because this boat is not putting up too much of a resistance on my line. So yeah, an interesting way of doing things, and maybe it'll yield a fish or two. If not, then we'll go out to the point here and we'll find a bit of reef and we'll try there. I actually don't have a fish finder on this boat. I'm relying on Navionics, which is brilliant really for finding reef. So relying on the GPS on my mobile to know what we're over. And these polarized glasses, they do really help when you're in, I mean obviously it depends on the visibility on the day, but if you're in say 10 meters of water, which is a lot of that around here, with polarized glasses you can just about see the outline of a reef, where it goes from light sand to dark kelp. You can see that. Sometimes you can see it without polarized glasses, but the polarized glasses really help. So I'm relying on my phone, on Navionics, and my eyes to find the reef here. And also a big help is lobster pot markers, because they'll always put them around bits of reef. So right now I can see a couple. We'll head over there and yeah, do a bit of vertical fishing. We can pick something up. Down, I've got one of these beautiful new Fiiish hypno casts here. I'm going to try that, just bouncing that on the bottom. Alright guys, here we go. I've picked up a fish on the jig. It might be a mackerel, although it was right on the bottom.
see it flashing around out there. Looks like a decent sized mackerel, you know. Yeah, it is. Still good fun on this light gear, you know. Came to a bit of deeper water here and I thought, why not put a jig down and just grab him. That's going to be great for dinner tonight. Alright, so we've pulled up on this beach here for a spot of lunch. Very nice. Really not much wind at all now, and it's practically low water. And I thought I'd just take this opportunity to show you around the Maelstrom Products Kaboat 4.5 meter version. Show you how I've got it set up. Not a lot really, but just things that I like about it and the layout and such. So this bow section here, got my life jacket there. There's all sorts, a lot of layers and things stuffed up in there. This is quite a nice bit of storage, this is, and all that sort of stuff will go up in there then in a minute. And there's one rod there. Just got one bench on the boat. I think it comes with 3, and it's on these sliding rails, so you can, you know, you could seat 3 people potentially on the benches, but I like to sit on the tube or crouch in the middle, even better. Yeah, so a VHF for emergency communications, and then a phone for sort of like your standard communications and navionics. That's all I got. That's the only electronics I got with me, and they all go in that dry bag there. Okay, nice and simple, nothing, no big batteries to worry about or anything like that. A big fuel tank that's got like 12 litres of it in it at the moment. I think it's 16 litres at full, so loads of fuel. Would never have to worry about running out on that. I could probably do, you know, 50 odd miles right off the top of the head, if not more of what I've got in that tank there. So yeah, fill it up once and keep you going for a month, you know, really good. And then there's a little lure box just in there, just tucked wedges in quite nicely. So I don't like stuff rattling around on the boat. So yeah, anything that you can find to wedge in. The fuel tank stays in position pretty well there actually. It doesn't move around too much, which is nice, especially with that lure box wedging it in. Got another rod there, landing net just on the deck, just in case, you never know, you might need it. And then there's a bag back there. That's a cool bag with the catch of the day so far in it. Yeah, that's nice. Good boat for what, you know, for what we're using it for today. Nice sheltered conditions. Yeah, really good bit of kit. Would it compare to a Sib out in moderate seas? No, it wouldn't handle as good, and it wouldn't take the chop as well. You get tossed around quite a bit because it's got such a shallow draft. It doesn't have the buoyancy and the beam of a Sib. But you know, for in these sort of little bays and doing a bit of nearshore fishing, it's absolutely ideal. Yeah, I think I'll pull it back out now. That's not going to be very difficult by myself. Just to slide it into the water and get on with some fishing. All right, guys, I got a little dinker on here. Could be another mackerel. Whatever it is, it's quite small. Oh no, it's not, guys. Wow. Oh, it come off. What is it? It was a Cooch's bream. Cooch's bream, guys, on a crazy paddle tail. Gutted I didn't get a picture of that, but pretty cool catch nonetheless. I thought that was a mackerel, to be honest with you. There you go, Cooch's bream on a crazy paddle tail. Just right at the boat as well. Oh well. Okay, here we go, guys. A bass on the crazy paddle tail. Ooh, I'm gonna kneel down for this one. He's just woken up. I could see it was a bass, but he just wasn't pulling at all really. And I'm on this little light rod, this little 7'6". It's a peach of a rod. I got this 3000 reel on it. Perfect for this sort of fishing, you know. Really good fun. You just get maximum sport out of every fish. This one's only a schoolie really. Really good fun fishing this, nice and light, like I said. There seems to be quite a few around feeding today. I mean, we're just at the start of the flood now, and I think everything's coming up into the estuary now, and where we are, we're just right on the edge of it. So see if I can Pop this guy out. Come here. He was hooked pretty well. There we go. Nice little bass. We'll get this guy back, I think. Alright, so we're at the entrance to this small estuary here, and this is a cardinal marker, and what these mean is for the bigger ships or yachts or whatever, it's just to warn them that there's a danger and to navigate away from that danger. And here there's just a big lump of rock basically covered with kelp, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting little feature. We've got the tide flooding in here and it's right in the middle of the entrance to this estuary, so to me that seems like a good sort of ambush point for predators to be feeding. I'm just going to work this little Fiiish hypno cast. I've been loving this. This is a 10 gram in the khaki colour, and what a wicked little jig this thing is. I mean, we're in probably about 8 meters of water here right now, and you know, that will do just fine, that will. I'm just going to bounce it around this feature and just see if I can get any takes on it. It's going to be good fun, maybe some bass, but yeah, who knows, maybe some pollock as well. Oh, he's trying to hide under the boat here. It's pretty cool. Oh, it's a mackerel. It's not a bass, it's a mackerel. On the jig, on pretty shallow water here. Quite an interesting spot to get a mackerel, but there we go. There we go. Another mackerel. This is the fourth or fifth one we've had today. Not really fishing for them, but yeah, good eating fish these are, so never complain about catching a mackerel. And when you're fishing with a jig, you're almost asking for them, really. Alright guys, we're a little bit close to the shoreline right now, but I've hooked into a bass and there's actually a couple following it, guys. That's a pretty cool thing to see. There's yeah, there's like 3 or 4 bass right in front of us there, just going crazy, real close to the rocks here behind us. And they're just schooling up with each other on the feed. This one's actually an alright size. Just being mindful of how close we are to the shore there. If I sit down here, try not to high stick that rod, even on a small fish like this. It's best practice not to. Not a huge fish, really just a schoolie, but great fun to catch nonetheless. There we go, on the crazy paddle tail, right in close to the rocks. You could not do this on any other boat really comfortably, but today we can, and you know, it's nailing the fish. So beautiful condition bass. I'm gonna slip this guy back now. Oh, there he goes. All right guys, just seen some top water action here, bit of a feeding frenzy. So I'm putting on the brand new Fiiish, I think this is a bio top. It's recycled plastic surface lure. Looks really nice in that sort of black, but with a bit of glitter in it. I'm just going to work it over the top of this kelp here. Just walking the dog. Fish on the surface. I haven't had one of these in ages. It was getting a bit hectic with the mackerel, and I thought, yeah, let's try a surface lure. Try and get something a bit different. And that didn't take long, and this bass just came along and smashed it. Tiny little bass, but you know, great fun to see them take these little surface lures. So yeah, in that nice black colour with a bit of glitter on it there. Well, that was a really nice day on the water on the south coast of Cornwall. I had a great time. Caught a couple fish, you know, had a nice Ballan wrasse and decent bass and mackerel. Can't really ask for anything more than that. Just a lot of fun when you go light like this. This sort of boat is perfect for taking out some light rods and getting nice and close and just seeing what you can find. You know, it's a lot of fun doing that. Forget all the fancy electronics and stuff and just go back to basics. And I got some mackerel for dinner.
That's fantastic. So thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in this boat, it's called the Cabo by Maelstrom products. I think it's great so far, and yeah, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Over on the Water. I do post a lot on Instagram, so I really recommend you follow me on there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.